Hello and welcome to Dr. VGP Talk Show. Hello and welcome to Dr. VGP's podcast, Dr. VGP's talk show that reaches 42 million households, including 2 million households across North America. In today's episode, we have a very interesting guest, a successful American entrepreneur who owns the third world's largest manufacturer of cancer therapy equipment, manufacturer of cyclotrons, cobalt therapy, and Equinox machines. Guess what? He concurs with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the government of India, alleging that Canada is a haven for terrorists. Well, this American entrepreneur who has studied in Canada and bought a manufacturing plant in 2008 in Ottawa, in the province of Ontario, is firmly saying Canada today is a haven for terrorists. Is that really so? You make the decision after seeing him in person and hearing what he says and how the forces that be are trying to strangulate his most successful business manufacturing plant in Canada. Meet Krish Suthanthiran, the CEO of Bestronics Limited, BTL, a manufacturing plant of critical cancer care therapy treatment equipment in Ottawa, the province of Ontario, which produces life-saving cancer treatment machines to save lives globally. Krish Suthanthiran is also the CEO of TeamBest group of companies, which is headquartered in Virginia, USA, and has offices in India and several other countries. Today, you're going to hear some startling truth about the current business environment of Canada, and now you'll understand why our President-elect Donald Trump, who I refer to triumphant Trump, is right in increasing the tariff on Canada. As he said, tariff is a favorite word of mine, according to Donald Trump. And President Trump, I cannot agree with you more after you and all the viewers listen to what this American citizen who owns a manufacturing plant in Canada has to say. Please send us your feedbacks and comments and views and spread the word of how to stop hate in Canada. Hello and welcome to Dr. VGP's podcast. Today we are going to be on a crossfire. This episode is in response to an earlier episode which aired in August 2024 when we featured the dreams of a Dindigul, India schoolboy who became one of America's third largest manufacturer of cancer treatment equipment. We received lots of feedback and very impactful responses to how Krish Suthanthiran made his visions into a reality. And one of the comments which we received brought it to my attention, where one viewer said, "Chief, the most crucial life-saving machines that Krish Suthanthiran's BTL company in Ottawa, in the Ontario province of Canada, is now shut down because of labor dispute, and as a result, none of the people who are getting these life-saving products are able to access them." And today cancer rates are high, and this very critical cyclotron, equinox, cobalt therapy machines, which were manufactured by Krish Suthanthiran's BTL in Canada. So our research team got into it, and we tracked Mr. Krish Suthanthiran down and asked him, could you tell us what's happening to Theratronics? And now you're going to listen to him, and it's going to reveal a very alarming situation in Canada. As you all know, Canada has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. India and Canada are in crossfire with a diplomatic row which erupted in October. President Triumphant Trump, as I often refer to him, has vowed on day 1, January 20, to increase tariffs on Canada because of Canada's border policy, and also not limiting illegal drugs not banning illegal drugs coming into the United States of America, and also letting the borders for illegal immigrants to enter America. So with this background, you're going to hear the true story of what's happening in Canada today, and how, with all the good stuff we've been hearing all these years, we're going to see the true face of the real Canada. And you will decide whether it's ethical business practice or a pure case of racism. Welcome, Krish Suthanthiran ji. Thank you for making time and being here. Krish, I really appreciate you coming on Dr. VGP's podcast, and for the courageous and bold decision to come. And thank you for presenting this white paper on BEST Theratronics, the BTL plant in Ottawa in the province of Ontario in Canada. And you have owned this plant since 2008, May 1st. And you have invested over $100 million, and today you have 150 employees. Earlier, before you took over, the plant was struggling for not 1 year, 2 years, for 60 years.
6 years, and the plant was not even air conditioned. In the summer, it was very, very hot, and I spent money in air conditioning, putting new roof on the building, putting a lot of new machine tools, and this is the most sophisticated medical technology company in Canada, and one of a few in the entire world.
You are such a humanitarian. You blended your business empire with a human touch, and you give them free meals in your cafeteria. You give them wage increases when you negotiate with the union over the years, periodically, and you've taken care of them like a big family.
I treated them like a family, and I didn't want to reduce any benefits. I didn't want to charge for the cafeteria. And the challenge is that the productivity level is 1/3 of the productivity level in the US, and it's even less compared to India. And we're competing in a global economy. I visited China many times. China offered me $100 million to move the manufacturing to China.
$100 million.
$100 million, and then move the manufacturing, everything to China. And they offered land, buildings, and other things. And I didn't want to do that. And in the meantime, China has set up their own manufacturing, and they're competing aggressively with us. And what Canadian government, I think, is ratio, and they have been doing everything for the last 10 years to find a way to shut down the company.
And you're talking about 150 Canadian jobs.
Canadian manufacturer, Canadian invented product, serving globally for cancer patients, and there's lack of pride. And the biggest challenge is that why there's no pride and in what is Canadian, and they spent the Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, invested $40 billion in a pipeline project, and the government lost $20 billion, and he was giving tens of billions of dollars to refugees and billions of dollars a giveaway, and he's anti-business, and he has absolutely, we are literally in the backyard of the Prime Minister's home, and the union is blockading us from entering the building, and now we have to lay off all the other employees as well. So killing more than 100 jobs.
At one stroke. And when every other state and every other country is inviting investors to come and set up manufacturing plants to create jobs, to increase revenue, here you have a very strange scenario. So what do you think? Is there a corporate conspiracy of such where they're trying to steal your technology and give it to some other country?
Racial discrimination.
Racial discrimination is one. Technology theft going to, I heard that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police came and seized some of the technology documents and shipped it to Belgium. Is that true?
Yeah, and they got a search warrant under what I call it lies, and if the RCMP officers lied under oath and turned a search warrant from the court, and then so we have to fight, and part of that we were able to win in one court in Vancouver, British Columbia, but in Ottawa, and we were not able to. So the entire government, everybody in Canada is so anti and about business and innovation, and in the meantime, every country, like you said, India, everybody shot Russia. They all would like us to move to their country. India would love us to have invested in India.
You're absolutely right. So while we're talking that the Canadian government, the provincial government and the federal government are posing unnecessary hurdles and challenges trying to shut you down.
Exactly.
The BEST Theratronics plant, which is in the heart of Canada, which is producing life-saving machines for cancer therapy treatment.
And Canadian hospitals they don't use them, yet Canadian cancer patients are dying. And it's the best technology, the least expensive, and treats more patients a day.
So, are you able to, are there currently in your factory in BT and BEST Theratronics completed cyclotrons and cobalt machines ready to be exported to other countries which need them and you're not having access to get them?
Exactly, and we have the most sophisticated technology in the entire world. No one has the products and the technology we manufacture, and yet the Canadian government is collaborating with the union in shutting it down.
And only 50 members of the 150 employees are union members.
Exactly.
So these 50 employees, unionized employees, are preventing the other 100 to coming back into work.
Exactly, coming into the building.
And the Canadian Labour Board, the Canadian law enforcement agencies are turning the other way.
They don't care.
They're not wanting
Police will not do anything. And the sad part of this, that all those employees wanted to come back to work. The union would not allow them to come back to work. Not only that, all those employees have already found jobs in other companies because this has been going on for several months, 7 months. And so, but the union, I don't know whom they're representing because the employees who worked at BTL already found jobs elsewhere.
And so this is going on since May of 2024. We are today in December.
Going on from May, and so it's going on for another 7 months now.
And the bone of contention is the unions want you to pay a higher wage to your employees and reduce all their benefits to zero. There wouldn't be any free cafeteria, won't be any free work days. Could you explain that?
Unless we can restructure the company, reduce the benefits significantly, and no cafeteria free, and we need to have more cooperative workforce that have more productivity. The productivity in Canada, in BTL, is 1/3 of the productivity in the US or India.
Now, so you're saying there's a combination of geopolitics and conspiracy to make a successful Indian American entrepreneur shut down his Canadian operations by using the tactical forces of the unions. And the unions, you're telling me, is blockading access to your manufacturing plant.
We can't even go in. They will not even allow fire inspector, HVAC inspector to go in.
And there's no law and order. The police is not coming to rescue us. You have the right to fire.
Canadian government almost is becoming more of a terrorist government. They don't care.
Now you can say that again. And that's what India is saying. Canada is harboring a lot of terrorists. And now, and what you're saying and what's happening to your plant, which is in the capital in the province of Ontario, in Ottawa, reflects.
In the background, the Prime Minister's home.
And it reflects this. Is there something going on so anti-India today in Canada that they are trying to shut down an Indian-owned plant, even though 150 of their employees are Canadians? Why are the local Royal Canadian Mounted Police not even having you or your staff who want to return to work access?
Well,
an illegal blockade is going on. The police is not doing anything. Where is the provincial government?
Nothing. So the point is that you look at that, this is going back to what India is at. They're harboring terrorists, not, and they pride in that. And now that cancer patients around the world are waiting for treatment, they can't get the products.
And you've not been able to get any of the Canadian banks to access any loans?
For the last 10 years, Canadian banks will not give us a loan. They will not provide any credit cards. The Canadian Export Development Corporation lost $500 million lending it to South America and Colombia, but yet they will not provide performance bonds. And whereas U.S. Exim Bank will provide, India Exim Bank will provide, China Exim Bank will provide, but Canadian Export Development Corporation will not provide. And when we won a big tender for a very sophisticated cyclotron from Italy, Italian National Lab, competing against in an international tender, the Canadian banks decided not to do business with us. They were worried we're not going to be successful. Innovation is frowned upon.
What you're telling me is simply unbelievable in this digital age, Krish, that you got one of the largest tenders in the world from Italy government, you won it, but you did not were able to find support from any Canadian banks just because you're an Indian American.
And the EECL wrongfully terminated supply agreement for isotopes. Basically, we lost half of the business we purchased from Noria.
ACL is the Atomic Energy Corporation.
Atomic Energy Limited.
Okay. And they prevented you from getting
we had a supply contract with them. They wanted us to amend the contract. Once we amended the contract, they canceled the contract, supply contract.
So what is it I think this has been exposed at the right time when President Triumphant Trump is saying that he's going to put additional tariffs on Canada because of stuff like this going on, which are not allowing American entrepreneurs have free trade in Canada. At the same time, the Canadian entrepreneurs in America have the free trade and access to all the American banks.
And so our goal is that to reach out to the Indian government and the U.S. government. So U.S. government should debate this one in a public hearing about this, our experience, because all the American investors must know what is Canada doing, what is the advantage of investing in Canada. And we also wanted to bring it to the Indian Parliament, and we want the Indian Parliament to debate how an Indo-American is being treated and forced to go out of business.
Now, you were also referring to earlier, and the white paper I see here on point number 10, ever so often when I enter Canada, I encounter harassment by Canadian immigration, in spite of the fact that you're a US citizen. So therefore you've curtailed your travels to India, particularly to Ottawa. Could you expound on that, please?
I think that the problem is racism. There is a lot of racism there.
Because you're such a successful business entrepreneur, built your own empire, TeamBest.
They can't believe I had to be successful in having a business, with the 150 plus employees, and I also got a town in British Columbia, Kingston. They can't believe, and they suspect.
And you have been supplying these cobalt and equinox and cyclotron machines. How many such do you use to manufacture in BTL Canada?
How many?
How many cyclotron machines and cobalt?
This is the sad part of it. In the last 15 years, we shipped only 2 cyclotrons. And there are lots of cyclotrons are unfinished because we have the productivity level very bad. I have nearly about 8 cyclotrons sitting on the floor unfinished. The productivity level is so bad in BTL. And that's why the previous companies, AECL and amidst, wanted to shut them down.
So usually how long does it take to build a cyclotron?
What's that?
Usually how long does it take to build a cyclotron?
Oh, you can build a cyclotron, a small one, within 6 months.
Okay.
And the big one could take 1 to 2 years.
Okay. Now you've said that CNSC, what is that? Has come to
CNSC is the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission, and they are also harassing us and unreasonably demanding they post $1.8 million cash collateralized bond to operate the business.
Why is that?
There's a expectation of providing a bond for decommissioning the facility in case we go out of business. But we had the $1.8 million about 10 years ago. But now the amount of material we have is so low because our business is so low, and we only, we posted it, we have been having a bond for $240,000, and under the Canadian rules that things are revised and updated, but the Canadian CNSC does not want to update that. They're demanding going back to the old one, and they, so we requested a public hearing on that.
And are they conceded to have a public hearing?
Well, we will have a public hearing. In the meantime, that we cannot go and operate our facility because they put us on a hold and from operating the facility.
So on one side, while we have this labor union strike and the unions harassing you also have the Canadian National Security Commission, which is saying that you have to have a bond before you restart your operations.
For $2 million.
For $2 million.
For a cash collateralized bond. Because normally these bonds are provided by the Canadian Export Development Corporation, and they will not provide it.
Very interesting. Usually for others, the Canadian Export Development Council will provide these performance bonds, but they're not providing it here.
See, the Export Development Corporation lent $500 million
to South America,
to Colombia in South America, and lost every penny of it. Okay? And then the Ottawa city government tripled my property taxes, and no one in the Ottawa city government will talk to us. You can't reach anybody to discuss that.
Very strange, very strange.
Okay? And the city has spent many billions of dollars for a light system, and it's in real trouble. It doesn't operate well, not many people are using it, and yet the mayor of City of Ottawa went to China offering tens of millions of dollars in grants and other things for Chinese companies that are manufacturing in Canada, in Ottawa.
Very strange.
Very strange. It's a strange country. You look at that. BlackBerry was one time at a 90% smartphone, they went out of business.
From Canada.
And then so it's Apple to go in because the problem on that, all of the thing, auto industry has lost more than 200,000 jobs in Canada.
You just heard Krish Suthanthiran extol all the different challenges he's facing. But I think I still see that fire in your belly and that resilience, and you're not willing to give up. You are saying, I'm going to stay in Ottawa. I'm going to restart the factory. I'm going to face all the challenges against all odds and reopen it and start manufacturing this life-saving equipment for the people who need it most.
Absolutely. We want to continue to do that.
Yeah. See, there are no winners here. What do the unions accomplish other than killing a 75-year-old factory, a company with a proud history that helps to save lives globally? That's the question we need to ponder, and we need to spread the message of what is this strange kind of hate I would call it's a hate crime. This provincial government, the state government, the Canadian banks are all prowling on and preying on this particular Best Theratronics Limited company in Ontario province of Ottawa, which is owned by an Indian American entrepreneur who has a checkered history of providing the best world's class technology, not only to America but also to European countries like Italy and France and in India in the supply chain. So, what is your next step now?
Next step is to produce a movie and for global distribution, and then next step is to reach out to the Trump administration in U.S. have a public hearing in the Congress, so that everybody in all the American businesses in must know the challenges of doing manufacturing business in Canada. And also, I would like to have Prime Minister Modi's office and have a public hearing in the Parliament to address what Canada is doing. And I think the Modi was right and say Canada supports terrorists.
I mean, what you're saying, Krish, you're endorsing India's Prime Minister's open stand and our External Affairs Minister Jay Shankar, who's saying Canada is supporting terrorists and providing them a shelter. And you are, as a businessman who's operating there in Canada for the last 18 years, last 16, 18 years, you are concurring fully with their belief.
And I've been providing free cafeteria for 8 hours a day, or 8.5 hours a day, and the employees were having 4 healthy meals, fresh cut vegetable soups and cheese and milk and coffee, tea, cereal, all kinds of juices, more than what they can find in a restaurant or in a coffee shop. And they were saving more than $30 Canadian after-tax money every day by not spending money at the cafeteria.
We have also been receiving phone calls from employees and others not understanding who it is that the union, which is Unifor, is the name of the union, which represents, and the loss of most of your business. I'm at a loss to where do you start and what do you do. Now, did one of the options occur to you to move this manufacturing plant out of Canada?
Well, I don't think that that's what we want to do. We may set up an additional manufacturing facility in places like India and the US. We always have a plan. We have a manufacturing now in the US and India and in Europe, and we plan to expand that manufacturing capacity because India has 1.5 million people and a lot of services are needed. So our goal is that they expand by setting up a manufacturing in India and the United States.
You have a very good plan, and I'm sure that your message will reach the powers that be in the corridors of power, the provincial government of Ontario province, the federal government of Canada, with Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister. I'm sure his legacy, his term is up. The Canadian government are having federal elections. He would like to have the closure of an Indian-American important manufacturing unit which provides critical life-saving radiation therapy equipment to close under his tutelage and have that to be the legacy of his government, and the failure of the provincial government and the failure of the local law and order to protect such a crown jewel of manufacturing, such saving lives globally. And you're telling me that a bunch of 50 employees or the 150 employees and some union members are garrowing and doing a blockade access to your plant. You're not able to access it, and the police are not doing anything. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police are not. You have the right of the way. You are the legal owner of the whole business, and they're not allowing your employees or you or your staff access.
And that's why we need to bring this up to the U.S. government and the Indian government, because it's important for them to know what Canada is doing, what Prime Minister Trudeau, and is basically killing a company that is saving millions of lives annually, that have a proud history of 75 years, products invented in Canada, manufactured in Canada. We have technologies. We can save 50% of the people who are dying today.
See, and this is why I think the American people have elected President Donald Trump as the 47th president, and his views, hearing the actual truth of what's happening to you and your most successful business, which is crumbling day by day due to the maladministration, the racism, as you call it, of the Canadian government, and they're crippling you, is what Trump wants to do, president in his new term, is to increase the tariff on all Canadian goods here and bring them to the table, to the treaty table.
Even more difficult.
Yes.
To be successful. And then not only that, but when you look back, that as an American taxpayer, my taxes are going to different Canada. And Canada doesn't spend enough money on their defense. They spend less than 1.5% of the GDP for defense. And this is one of the things President Trump has been after. These governments are not putting enough money.
Would you consider, I think what this needs immediate attention, because there are so many lives globally at stake because of the lack of having your cobalt machines, your Equinox and your cyclotron machines available to the masses who need the treatment, which save lives. It's a very critical element.
And then we have customers waiting and we cannot deliver. We can't go into our office. Our employees cannot work. That means the people are not only killing the job for the 50 employees, but they kill basically job for all the 100. So the 150 employees are losing jobs.
On one hand, Krish, yes, 150 Canadian jobs are lost. But on the bigger picture, you're seeing the critical equipment which we are churning out.
Millions of patients are not going to get it.
And that's the big question. And I think what is right is you should do a kind of a town hall or round table in Capitol Hill, have people across the aisles to come and do a PowerPoint presentation and saying what's really going on in Canada to a company owned by an American. You're an American citizen. You have invested $100 million in Canada.
And this is what our president, like Donald Trump and his government, need to know what these governments are doing and being anti-American, and also Indian government need to recognize how Canada has become a supporter of a terrorist rather than good and business people investing money and creating jobs and building technology saving lives.
I couldn't agree for you further. And for some of your viewers who will be keen to know, I know all of you watch every word said in the Dr. VGP podcast, and you are giving us comments, and we also read every word very carefully. Now, the BTL employees today benefits include, apart from they're getting competitive wages, it's not low wages, they're getting competitive wages, they've been having periodical increases. The BTL employees benefits include health, dental, LLD and STD insurance, 2 weeks paid vacation to start and increase over years of service, just like in America. They have 10 stat holidays per year paid, 10 6 days paid, 2 float days of paid, 3 personal days of paid. The company RRSP match up to 5% of the employees' gross salary. There's a free cafeteria, which is one of the luxurious, knowing Krish's hospitality. And Christmas gift cards and turkeys for every employee. And there's free parking there and allowance for work boots, for safety glasses, prescription safety glasses, and also above all, he changed the very work environment, made it completely centralized air conditioned when he bought the plant 16 years ago, because he feels the pain the employees have. He wanted a very comfortable work environment as if he was there. And in return for that, this very criminal conspiracy which has been hatched by alleged sources because of his international and global success. On one hand, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, according to Krish, is saying they tried to steal documents, or they stole documents. All the technical secrets and know-how for this machine were stolen from the Canadian office, and they were shipped to Belgium. And Belgium, to his competitor, because they were direct competitor of Best Theratronics and TeamBest group of companies. And that's alarming. And then there's a bigger conspiracy, which one of our researchers, while doing research on this, called it dirty politics. And that's a word, and it could be defined in very generalized terms, but that's the root of what's happening. And Krish says it's nothing but pure racism. at its worst in Canada.
And the real tragedy is that cancer affects lots of people. We've seen friends and family members, and I've got several staff members for cancer. And while the Canadian cancer patients are dying, the Canadian hospitals will not buy the best technology manufactured in Canada, and so it's pathetic, and there's no support. And what is Canadian government does is just the totally opposite of every government in the world does. Every government is promoting buy locally made. Every government wants to support local jobs. Every government wants to support, provide funding, do things to establish manufacturing. But Canadian government wants to shut it down. Even though I have invested $100 million, the most sophisticated medical technology company in Canada, and one of the few in the entire world.
And Krish Suthanthiran had his education in Canada. You had your master's degree.
Exactly. From Canadian University.
In which university? In what subject?
In Ottawa, in mechanical engineering in Ottawa. I graduated in 1971.
So you can see that he is an alumni of the Canadian University himself.
I provided more than $100,000 to the Carleton University for endowments and other needs to the university.
Well, friends, we are at the crossfire today, and you have just heard Krish Suthanthiran, the CEO of BTL, Best Theratronics Limited in Canada, and the chairman and CEO of TeamBest Global Group of Companies. And Suthanthiran has fought to preserve Theratronics for the last 16 years. But it's taken only a matter of months for the unions to destroy all of Suthanthiran's efforts. His financial support and the gains he has made in rebuilding BTL to make a global name. Your last words, Krish, to all of you as summing up.
The unions spent $5 million, more than $5 million, in killing 150 jobs and destroying the company with a 75 years history. And the entire Canadian government is silent. We're not able to use the facilities. Canada has some of the best capabilities and facilities to provide the best cancer treatment technology in the entire world. Yet, the Canadian government will not allow us to use the facilities, and rather, they would like to force us to shut down and close down the business.
Well, President Donald Trump, you are going to be the savior, not only for America, but we look at you as a messiah for the world. And especially, you have heard firsthand what Krish Suthanthiran and the travails he has been through by spending and establishing a huge company, Best Theratronics Limited, in the province of Ontario, in Ottawa, Canada, and with the forces that be that are shutting him down. We look to you and appeal that in your new era, you will see that no American entrepreneur, no American business will be mistreated anywhere in the world. Let us all join triumphant President Trump to make America great again, not only here, but throughout the globe. Thank you so much, Krish, for joining us on this important. Thank you for sharing your views and giving an insight into what's happening to not only an American company in Canada, but I would like to say you're alleging that Canada has become a haven for terrorists, what our Prime Minister Modi believes in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
viewers, elevate your business to new heights and reach 35 million potential customers with Global Eye Digital. Contact us today at globaleyedigital@gmail.com or info@globaleyedigital.com. Let's take your business global.